Tariffs are taxes placed on imported goods, acting as a kind of financial barrier at the border. When a product from another country enters the US, a tariff can make it more expensive, sometimes significantly so, before it ever reaches American store shelves. Take, for example, a German car arriving in the US. Tariffs can add thousands to its price tag, making it less attractive to American buyers compared to domestic vehicles. This price difference is intentional, designed to steer consumers toward products made at home. The main goal? Protect domestic industries by making local products more competitive. Tariffs can help keep American factories running and preserve jobs that might otherwise be lost to cheaper imports. Historically, tariffs were a cornerstone of U.S. economic policy. They not only funded the government before income taxes existed, but also shielded young American industries from powerful European competitors, giving them a chance to grow and thrive. Over time, as the U.S. economy matured and global trade expanded, America shifted toward free trade. Lowering tariffs was seen as a way to boost efficiency, encourage innovation, and lower prices for consumers, making a wider variety of goods more affordable. Yet the debate over tariffs versus open markets remains central in U.S. politics. Lawmakers, business leaders, and workers all have strong opinions, and the issue often divides communities and even families. Tariffs aren't just about prices, they're also powerful tools of foreign policy. Governments use them to pressure other countries, retaliate against unfair practices, or as bargaining chips in high-stakes negotiations that can affect millions of jobs. But their effects ripple through the economy. Helping one industry can hurt another. When tariffs are imposed, some businesses benefit, but others may struggle with higher costs or lost sales. For example, tariffs on imported steel may help U.S. steel mills stay open and keep workers employed, especially in regions where manufacturing is a lifeline. But those same tariffs raise costs for automakers and construction companies who rely on steel as a key material. These higher costs can ripple down the supply chain. The result? Higher prices for consumers, whether they're buying a new car, a home, or even everyday goods that use imported materials. The cost of protecting one sector is often paid by everyone else. Families may find their budgets stretched, and small businesses can struggle to keep up with rising expenses. This trade-off is at the heart of the debate over President Trump's aggressive use of tariffs. Supporters argue they defend American jobs, while critics warn of unintended consequences. Understanding tariffs is crucial. They shape jobs, prices, and America's role in the world. The choices made in Washington ripple out to every corner of the country. The controversy isn't just economic, it's political and deeply personal for many Americans. For some, tariffs mean job security. For others, they mean higher bills and uncertainty. As we'll see, the consequences of these policies reach far beyond the headlines, shaping the daily lives and futures of millions of people across the nation. President Trump has revived his tariff man persona, making tariffs the centerpiece of his economic and foreign policy. His administration has imposed tariffs for reasons ranging from trade disputes with China to pressuring countries like Mexico and Brazil. The result? A volatile environment for American businesses relying on global supply chains. Tariffs are adjusted frequently, creating uncertainty for companies trying to plan ahead. The White House claims this unpredictability is strategic, keeping other nations off balance. Critics argue it mostly hurts American businesses and consumers, who face shifting costs and rules. This sweeping use of tariffs has now triggered a historic legal challenge at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is now carefully considering whether the president has too much power over tariffs and trade policy decisions. The case directly challenges Trump's authority under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA, a key law. Critics say the administration has stretched the law using national emergency as a catch-all for broad economic actions and policies. At stake is the constitutional balance. Congress is supposed to control taxes and trade, but has delegated much of this power to the president over time. The lawsuit argues this delegation has gone too far, raising important questions about checks and balances in government. The court's decision could ultimately redefine presidential power over trade for generations to come. In oral arguments, Trump's lawyers defended broad presidential discretion under IEEPA, citing national security and historical precedent. They argued that restricting this power would weaken America's ability to respond to global threats. Opponents countered that only Congress should have the power to tax and regulate foreign commerce. Chief Justice Roberts and others questioned whether tariffs are really taxes on Americans, and if Congress has given away too much authority. Justices from both sides expressed skepticism about the administration's sweeping claims. The challengers warned that calling any trade dispute a national emergency sets a dangerous precedent. The court's skepticism signals the seriousness of the constitutional questions at play. Tariffs have hit Americans directly, raising prices on everyday goods. From groceries to household essentials, the impact is felt every time people head to the store or pay their bills. What once seemed like distant policy decisions now show up in the form of higher costs at the checkout counter, affecting families across the country. Economists estimate consumers have absorbed more than half the cost of new import duties, fueling inflation. This means that, rather than foreign companies paying the price, it's American households who are footing much of the bill. As prices rise, families are forced to make tough choices about what to buy and what to cut back on, stretching budgets thinner than ever. Grocery prices have jumped. Orange juice up 29%, beef up 13.5% in the past year. These increases aren't just numbers, they translate to real sacrifices at the dinner table, with many Americans opting for less expensive alternatives or going without certain staples altogether. While some U.S. industries benefit, many manufacturers face higher costs for imported parts, making them less competitive. Companies that rely on global supply chains are especially vulnerable, as tariffs drive up the price of components needed to build everything from cars to electronics. The manufacturing sector lost over 40,000 jobs between February and August 2024, suggesting tariffs may hurt more than help. For workers, these job losses mean uncertainty and hardship, as entire communities feel the ripple effects of factory slowdowns and closures. Unpredictable tariff changes have created instability, forcing businesses to scramble for new suppliers or absorb losses. Small businesses, in particular, struggle to adapt, often lacking the resources to quickly shift their supply chains or negotiate better deals. Public frustration is growing. Two-thirds of recent Democratic voters say Trump hasn't done enough to curb inflation. Across the political spectrum, Americans are voicing concerns about rising costs and the effectiveness of current trade policies. The administration insists tariffs are necessary for strategic goals, but for many Americans, the result is a higher cost of living. Officials argue that these measures protect American jobs and industries, yet the immediate burden falls on consumers and workers. The political fallout is real, as rising prices become a central issue in the national debate. Politicians on both sides are pressed to offer solutions, while voters demand relief from the squeeze on their wallets. For businesses and families alike, tariffs are more than policy, they're a daily reality. Every price increase, every tough decision at the store, is a reminder of how global trade policies shape life at home. The question remains, are these costs worth the promised benefits? As the debate continues, Americans are left weighing the trade-offs between economic security and affordability. The answer is shaping the future of American trade, and will determine not just the nation's economic direction, but the everyday lives of millions of Americans. Facing legal and economic pressure, the Trump administration has recently rolled back some tariffs, creating exemptions for over 200 food products. Relief for items like bananas and coffee came as new trade deals were struck with several countries. The White House frames these rollbacks as rewards for nations agreeing to better terms, not a retreat from its America First agenda. Still, these piecemeal changes highlight the complexity and contradictions of the tariff policy. Critics say the system is now confusing and unfair, with some industries getting relief while others suffer. Despite exemptions, new tariffs on products like furniture and pharmaceuticals show the strategy is far from over. The policy remains dynamic, shifting with negotiations and domestic pressures as the Supreme Court deliberates. The Supreme Court's decision in this case could fundamentally reshape not only American trade policy, but also the very balance of power between the branches of government. The stakes are high, and the outcome will reverberate far beyond the courtroom, affecting how future presidents and lawmakers interact on critical economic issues. If the court rules in favor of President Trump, it would cement broad executive authority to impose tariffs without significant oversight. making aggressive trade tactics a standard tool for future administrations. This could give the president more unilateral power over international trade, potentially bypassing traditional checks and balances. On the other hand, a ruling against him would shift power back to Congress, requiring lawmakers to approve any future tariffs. This would slow down the process, but it would also ensure more debate and transparency, giving elected representatives a greater say in shaping trade policy. The economic impact could be immediate and dramatic. The outcome might trigger market volatility, especially if the court decides that past tariffs must be refunded to affected businesses. Such a move could cost billions and create uncertainty for companies and workers alike. But this case is about more than just tariffs or trade wars. It's a test of how much power Congress has ceded to the president over the years, and whether that balance should be restored or further shifted. A decision that limits executive authority could spark a nationwide debate about the separation of powers, reigniting questions about the roles of Congress and the president in shaping national policy. Whatever the verdict, it will help define the future of the presidency, the economy, and the very nature of American democracy for years to come. The decision will set a precedent that could influence generations. Now the nation waits anxiously for a ruling that could change everything, watching closely as history unfolds before their eyes.